Okay.
Oh
Hey,
my gosh, it's the hotel guys
You're darn right it is. We're
it's
live and in person
here we
from
are.
Sri Lanka.
Yeah, here we are in June of 2025, and we haven't talked to you for at least a couple of months, I think. So it's time
Yeah.
to
I
just
know,
do a
I
little
missed.
catch up. We've got some travel logs, not too many pictures, but some pictures to throw with some of what we want to tell you about
Love
Malaysia.
it.
Malaysia.
I think is where we're going to start, but we're going to do
Let's,
Malaysia and Sri Lanka, and yeah, two spots in Malaysia and one spot in Sri Lanka.
where do you
Take it
want?
away.
Take it away.
Where do you want to start?
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll start in Kuala Lumpur. We came out of southern
This
Thailand, and we ended up back at this apartment building in central downtown Kuala Lumpur where we stayed last time.
it's St. Mary's Residences,
Except,
and
St. Mary's, it sounds like a nunnery.
I
do
know we did not see any nuns.
okay, I
What are you doing?
I have a lot of issues.
Oh my God.
Nancy, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
And you are too.
I'm
Oh, this is good.
struggling.
What did you just show them?
I have to think I have to share. I still have to
You have to share the screen.
Yeah, I
I
don't.
only do this when we do these
Yeah,
meetings.
you need to have a dry run here, Paul.
This is.
So yes, Kuala Lumpur was
This is the dry run.
KL, we fell in love with this Airbnb apartment the first time we stayed there. And
Okay, now
so
tell me, are
we
you
booked it again. Yes.
I see the outside of that
Yep.
enormous apartment house.
Yes. And
yeah.
and this time, we went right back into the same neighborhood. Things are familiar when we do things like this. And seriously, this apartment, large one-bedroom apartment, was so reasonably priced, so tricked out with everything. Like this woman, she gets our award for best Airbnb apartment that feels like home.
I think it's $70 a night. We may have paid a little bit more because we arranged to have a third person. Our friend Guile was going to be there for one of the 3 weeks that we were there. But basically, we can get this place for, I
It's
mean, central Kuala Lumpur. I mean, a lot of the big cities in the world are not that affordable. I mean, there can be some value, but you can expect to pay more just about everywhere. And
so
so to get an apartment like that we love, that's tricked out, like it feels like home, it was a second time visit and no brainer. And so we were there. We will only stay on the third floor.
right at the tree line. So it was
Yeah, we
fabulous.
like this place and it's convenient to a
To
lot of
the
things.
big modern mall is like, I don't know what we'd say, less than 10-minute walk. And on our way, it's funny because Paul looked off to the left and there's like an older mall, people coming and going, restaurant kind of thing. And he goes, let's go in and check it out.
Yeah,
Okay,
but you get
that's the
an
view.
idea of our view from this is from the bedroom, and it's private, but also amidst kind of a very urban high-rise kind of a
I'm looking
set of
across at a Holiday Inn
buildings.
and
Oh, very
bel-
sophisticated looking. It looks
below is,
like reminds me of Honolulu
Yeah,
or
it
oh,
has
actually
some, well,
Waikiki.
it's actually hotter than Honolulu, believe it or not.
And there's a lovely fresh market down below. It's a
Yeah.
lot of restaurant, a lot of people come and go during the
Oh,
hour and
wow.
have great
And
food.
the street scene all around. So, it's a
Yeah.
funny city. It's big, it's sophisticated, it's international, it's multicultural,
Hmm.
and it's really mellow. It's a very mellow city, which
Did we
kind
say
of,
hot?
oh, it's hot as hell. It's really hot. So everything is air conditioned, and 20-minute walks really take
Feel
25 because you've got to go just a little bit
you'll
slower.
you'll appreciate this. Our Uber driver, when we were in the airport region at KL, he called it Malaysia's bathtub because of the amount of rain that hits Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah, in the wet season, we were only in showers, we didn't take a bath.
Substantial showers
But
from time to
yeah,
time.
oftentimes every day there
Yeah.
is and just a few more street scenes. This is actually a very famous building, and I didn't fully appreciate it, but our friend Guile was sharing that this is because of the sort of the spiral that they're allowed to claim for height of the
Uh-huh.
building, that it's right up there with among the highest buildings in the world. And
That
it's
looks
not
like a
tightly.
very unusual architecture.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
Yeah.
there's some of that, but
Yeah.
it's a very well-planned city. And we've talked about Kuala Lumpur in our podcast
Yeah, I
before,
think
but
have.
we came back for more. And what that really involves a lot of this year was shopping. So,
So, I mean, there's stories to be told. And, because the American president was in the crazies about tariffs and, Vietnam, where my favorite shoes are made, Brooks shoes. I've had now, I don't know, 2, 3 pairs. They're my favorite, made in, well, the base company is in Seattle. Shoes are made in Vietnam, but I was like, oh my God, I need new shoes.
so
I
there
don't want
was
to pay
yeah,
145% more when I get back to Portland. So I found a store in KL. This
and
woman was so delightful to help
so
me
of
buy
course we
these
had to
shoes.
take a picture of it. And then also, I mean, Malaysia is known for good food.
Food, food, food.
I mean, it's just food is everywhere. And
This is in the mall that I referred to as we were walking by to the big modern new mall. Paul's like, oh, let's go check out and see what kind of food.
we ended up doing a lot of different things in this
Oops.
it was called the Causeway building. And it's a little local sort of
It had everything
destination.
for us.
It
had
we had the
everything.
optometrist and we bought electronics there. We ate there.
We found,
And it was kind of a lot of empty space in what was probably in the past more robust before COVID.
but it's a big dining spot for local people during their lunch hour.
Yeah,
So
so
people
workers.
flood in there. We ate at this restaurant, I don't know, a lot,
Several
maybe
times a week at
3
least.
times
Yeah,
a
maybe
week.
3 times a
It was
week.
just so clean and fresh.
Vegan, which we're both eating mostly vegetarian. And so that was fun. And there's an idea of what some of the food is.
Well, you look
And
so happy there, Paul.
well, it was the sweet tea that we would drink as
That
often as
was good.
possible.
Yeah,
So
it
yeah,
was
but that
really
was
good.
some of the fun food. And so Malaysia as a mishmash of cultures is a lot of rice dishes, but not exclusively because we also, these are food drinks. This restaurant that we happen to be sitting in is run by some now friends, Australians, that it's they call it Latin American,
yeah.
but it's the closest thing to Mexican food that we found in Malaysia.
Sidebar, Nancy, I've not had any alcohol in 1 year now. So these are just
These are
alcohol drinks.
virgin drinks.
And again, it's part of feeling a lot better.
And this is in the main big mall called not Paragon, but
No.
starts with a P. I'll think of it.
Pavilion.
Anyway, Pavilion Mall there
Yes.
in central Kuala Lumpur. And this is an Arabian restaurant. And this is classic,
That was really good food. I mean,
Mediterranean
like you
fare.
said, the food options in KL and
Yeah.
Malaysia, incredible.
Die for that tabbouleh. It was so good. And then this was the back to the Latin American food. This was the burritos and the salad that we ate.
Okay.
And then,
All right.
Kuala Lumpur
Look
is
at that.
known for the Petronas Towers. And of course, Petronas is the national oil company of Malaysia.
So we did
got
this.
oil and gas.
We did this during the day, our very first trip into KL. And it's impressive. We walked around but nighttime, it's like you must go and just experience the nighttime
And-
light, the vibe. It's just, I couldn't stop taking pictures
No,
of it.
it's really, and it looks as glowy
Yeah.
as it is as glowy as it looks. And this
gorgeous.
was just a walk from our apartment, actually.
And the mall is right underneath that.
And they have air-conditioned elevated walkways in
Oh, yeah,
some
yeah.
sections. So we walked on the street in one direction and I think back in the AC, or
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we took a grab car back. But yeah, you
did.
can take advantage of those elevated AC walkways. And
Which really link you to all over the place.
everything is quite AC'd. So, and then, this is another
I'm like, oh.
bridge. This bridge changes colors and it's fun.
And it's interesting because Paul learned about this walkway bridge, and it's very cool, but it's very under tourist visited.
Yeah.
So that, I think I'd put it on my list for people who are
Yeah,
going to
that was
KL.
fun.
Nighttime.
And
Awesome.
so now you might have noticed the shirts. We
Oh.
didn't really point them out, but the shirts that we're wearing are Rich's is a little,
Can you see my logo? on this polo shirt?
So we found this lovely shop in the Causeway Mall that's an embroidery shop. She does,
We walked by, she was like, their sewing machines are all computerized, and they were like doing a big run of sports kind of shirts,
you
and
know,
it's
for,
sewing all these, logos on the shirts. And I'm like, oh, I gotta shoot a video of this. And next thing we kind of thought, oh, we should talk to her about
well,
replacing our Bella snack
we
sack.
lost the Bella snack sack, which is just one of those silly things,
I left
wonderful.
it in Thailand. I probably mentioned this before, and Paul's like, huh,
Of
maybe she can make us a Bella bag.
course, Bella Organics is our go-to
Sauvie
island
Island,
organic farm
which is in
on
your backyard, Nancy.
Sauvie Island in outside Portland, Oregon.
Strawberry season right now.
So this wonderful lady this is the shop that she took over from her mom, and they've been
Deneen.
in the same, her name's Deneen,
Yeah,
and
Deneen.
they've been in the same location for 25 years.
She's like, oh, I could just go online and maybe I can find their logo.
So she took their logo and created a new Bella bag, and we were like, okay, while you're at it, why don't you make hotel guy shirts for us? So she embroidered new little hotel guy shirts that we used to have,
There it is.
but they
How's
weren't
that?
they weren't embroidered. This is our logo, and it's just for fun. And we just did a couple of extra things. She was super helpful, so that was fun. And then one of
Oh.
the cultural things that we did when we were in
Yeah.
Kuala Lumpur. This was our third visit, actually. On our second visit or first, I forget.
I think
We went to the Islamic Arts Museum, which we really love, and there's just a couple pictures from there. Gorgeous Quran calligraphy.
Paul's like, that's what I want to go back and see, is just the calligraphy.
Yeah,
It's-
when we were there the
Sure.
second time, they had a special exhibit of a big room of just blown up
Yeah.
calligraphy, which they didn't have on this visit.
And the museum changes things out.
Yeah.
So,
But-
once is not enough.
But they did
this
have,
place.
no, I've got to move this and to get, what
Yeah.
they did have was, and then of course, this is the women's garb, or this
This was
really
in the special exhibit.
dressy garb that the Muslim women wear. And then they had this wonderful timeline of Palestine, the forgotten history and culture,
Yeah.
which, we have lived a lot of those events through Begin and, the assassinations of the leaders in the region. We lived all that.
So we're the guys, as you know, hang out in the museums longer than everyone else.
Yeah.
And it wasn't busy at all, and you just soak in as much as you can.
Just remind ourselves of key important things, especially with what's going on over there now. It's just so sad. I mean, feed the people. Let's just feed the people.
Yeah, let's stop the killing.
So that was kind of like a little bit of a snapshot of our Kuala Lumpur time.
That's all?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we like it there.
yeah,
It's the big city.
we wanted to mention
And-
that we can get everywhere around by Uber-like service called Grab, Grab is a big deal. Everybody that's been to Asia knows it.
So, yeah, on the way to
so-
that great museum, we had this deluxe van that we rode in. And once that thing pulled in, it was
I thought
like,
I had a picture
Paul's
of
like,
that.
I want one. I want
may-
one.
I may-
And I'm like, it is expensive. And we come to find out, yes, it is expensive. Base price on those things are like $130,000. And
I know.
we took a few of those.
I thought
They're
I had a picture
in
of it.
black or
That's
white.
crazy. It makes me.
I don't know, maybe we'll post it later. But anyway, so we find
Oh, I
out,
want to see.
I know. We find out how expensive they are. And Paul, then one of the drivers says, oh yeah, my owner has 50 of them. And so the fleet of these vans are like, really, once you know what you're looking for, you see them and you don't have it.
It might be accidentally under one of the other tabs that I've created.
So then the last time Paul's like, but I wouldn't drive it. And I'm like, well, you want to buy one? You want to have someone drive it?
No, don't overstate it. I don't want to buy a car. I don't think we'll ever own a car again. I mean, we might, but we may not. I mean, we don't aspire to return to the US we're not really interested in cars.
We sold ours so we could do
Yeah,
Egypt.
and
So,
yeah, as you know, our lifestyle, if and when we return to Portland,
yeah,
we can manage without one for almost everything.
we'll buy an 88 Honda
But
Accord
what
like
I
I used
wanted
to.
to say is that to order the car on Grab, the category that brings you this luxury vehicle that like opens magically on its own, the
Oh,
door, and you get into these like
like
stadium style seats that you have to
strobe light
pay
kind
extra
of
at the movie
extra
theater.
blue lights
It's not terribly expensive. I
to
mean,
do the ride.
this, of course, is the
No,
overall thing. You know, we're very glad to be the guests of the Malaysian people when we're there. It's a very affordable destination that lets us experience things in life,
I'd say 2/3.
dining, and it's wonderful.
Everything's 2/3 the price.
So last year we also
Yeah.
went to Malaysia's second city of Ipoh, which is kind of halfway between there and the Thai border, and
Yeah, that was
about
last October.
halfway or so on the way to the other big tourist destination
Yeah.
of Penang Island, which is in northwestern Malaysia. But Ipoh,
Like
now I'm going to
Temple
share
Caves,
again.
which we did all of that touristy stuff in October. So, we decided, oh, there we are. We discovered like day 2, on my obsessive walking now. I was, just loving being on this river. Every day I would get to see all my typical walkers that are out like before sunrise,
Right.
because that's how you have to get out and walk and move in the Malaysian climate.
So let me just explain that we wanted to come home to Oregon on the middle of August. And so we used our calendar and worked backwards with the number of days that we wanted to stay in Bali, which is where we'll be right before we arrive in Portland in mid-August. And we knew what we could get at our apartment in Kuala Lumpur because we have a direct relationship now with the lady there. We don't have to rent
through Brook
anywhere else
Yeah.
other than just we
or Airbnb.
wire money to her directly when we want to get that. But it's only available for certain days.
Yeah.
And the remaining number of days was the days that we chose to be in Ipoh, and we found
A
an
2-bedroom,
apartment for $53 a night, which we're going to show you pictures
like
of,
10 minutes from the
on
river.
the 19th floor of a 10-year-old building that operates a little bit as like a hotel
Almost.
condotel, I think is
Oh,
what-
homestay as they'll refer to
and
it.
it's not as nice. It wasn't as nice as the other
Place in
place,
KL.
but we, I think, showed, of course, there's Rich showing off his wings and his big heart. Isn't that a great
Yes.
picture? And
That's
then
all
It's a
stone
great
behind
picture.
me.
and then our building is in the background of this picture, the yellow accented high rise. But the front ground gives you an idea of,
Old Town.
they don't call it Chinatown, but
It's Old Town.
Ipoh is it's also a very multicultural city. In Malaysia, all of it is very multicultural. But
Yeah.
this central area is very heavily Chinese, Malaysian
Yeah.
influence.
Yeah.
And this gives you an idea of,
So
not
now-
all the buildings are that well
Well, the paint
remodeled.
job. Yeah.
But
So,
I was born in 1959, so snap this picture.
yes, yeah, this is a reflection on Paul's life since 59. But Nancy, you'll enjoy. The street art is fabulous. I shot pictures in October, and then I'm like, oh wow, there's so many more.
All over the place.
That's home.
So that was our apartment building, also very central. Now, Ipoh is only a city of 888,000 people.
Yeah, doesn't
Metro,
feel like
but
it.
it doesn't feel like it at all. It's
No.
really easy to get around. And it's also
But don't you, I have to interrupt. I mean, that
What?
visually is like so classic of what we do to these beautiful cultural areas.
it's
And then we
true.
build these monstrosities
And you know,
Yes.
that
they are,
overtake the whole, yeah.
Yeah,
it's true. Now, in Kuala Lumpur, for example, the smart design that the architects and all of their compatriots that put together these urban designs, they actually have done a pretty good job in places like KL of connecting the metro lines. And in Japan, it's like this. There's a concentrated, nationalized housing policy that builds the culture around the transportation hubs. And Ipoh is borrowed some of those design ideas, but they don't have that kind of a transportation
No, and there
infrastructure.
aren't big buildings like this.
But by and large, they've done it.
Oh.
It's okay. It's not ideal indeed, but
Look at the view out our patio, Nancy.
we had
Yeah.
a beautiful, this is a low rise, generally a low rise area where they've
Yeah.
got some
So don't
concentrated.
move that picture
Okay,
yet.
don't move it.
Nancy, if you see the foreground chair with a pillow on the back, look
Yeah.
at the bottom on
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
legs of the chair. Those are
I
plastic
know.
holes from the kitchen because, you know,
Ergonomic.
Paul and I are jumbo in comparison to a lot of these folks that live in Malaysia. Now, there are tall people, we will say, but every seating option for us was just like, this is bad. This chair is awkwardly
And the beds were a
horrible.
little too soft, but you know what?
So
This is
it
our
was like
life.
54 bucks a night, a 2-bedroom. We had a
53.
kitchen, you know, we had this killer view, the mountain view.
Yeah,
We had good
two
AC.
bedrooms. They call that king. It's really a queen. But
So
Looks
we
gorgeous.
make it work.
and there's Rich on his morning walk,
Yep, making it work.
and
That's pre-Europe, so I don't have my Buddha belly pastries anymore stuffed under my
but
shirt.
as with other places,
Are those
playground-
real trees? Are those real trees?
No,
This
or
is in a
fake?
mall.
this is in the main mall. There's the main central mall of Ipoh. There's several malls, but
Yeah.
And this is where people congregate because it's so hot. This is where
Yeah.
you go to be air conditioned and find your services. And so we happened
is-
on to this particular weekend. The central area of the mall is something different every weekend. They
Yeah.
have different like events there.
This mall is called Parade Mall.
And they had a travel fair this weekend, which
And
of
it was
course
like
was fun
packed
for
with
us.
people. And
Absolutely packed.
you could buy any package. And the brochure that we're holding, it was like mind blowing. You would never see anything like
All
this
departures
in
from
America.
KL
Yeah,
largely.
all these
And-
packages
and,
worldwide.
So, on our walks, we would go by these Chinese,
Buddhist temples.
yeah.
And this one again is down by the river. This was in celebration of Buddha. That was like day 2 after we arrived. It was a national holiday.
Wesak holiday, which is full moon at
Right.
the month of Buddha's birthday, I think.
Yes.
Also, so and it's celebrated in different ways in different countries in the region that we came to
They
learn.
were
But we also did a lot of nuts and bolts stuff, and in fact,
Oh,
we did a lot of
my latest haircut.
Yes, he gets undercut, and I thought that was a fun picture just to throw
I
in.
didn't see.
And of course, he gets his. We both take advantage of.
These are the things that
we
you
can't
know,
afford
again,
stuff
we
at home.
can't do this at home.
We
This
won't
would
afford
cost
it at
us
home.
60, 70 bucks
No.
for a manicure pedicure.
No,
I
in fact,
think.
we barely eat out when we're at home. It's so
This
much
is
more
like
affordable.
manicure pedicure, maybe $23.
And then, of course, it's just not sort of the cosmetic stuff, but this is serious Chinese reflexology centers that we know of in both.
So again, I'll say this about feet at, our age is, there's nothing like good reflexology to help blood circulation.
Everybody
And
needs a good foot
This should
massage
be
twice a week.
part of the elder care package
It really-
worldwide.
We
where
feel so much better with,
get your blood moving.
the onset of neuropathy is not uncommon among most people
Yep.
as they age.
Yep.
And this kind of treatment is just a no-brainer, and I miss it. I want it
Oh.
here right now.
And Sri Lanka, we won't talk about it, but it's
Yeah.
much more expensive to do those sorts of things
Yeah,
than
in Malaysia and
in
Thailand
Malaysia.
it's less expensive, and in Indonesia too.
Well, here's Mary and her nephew Alan in the Parade Mall. Paul popped in and he's like, I need a pair of sunglasses. Then I'm like, oh,
I need a
wear
pair of
contacts.
sunglasses. So
I
Rich
need
bought a pair.
nice sunglasses.
And,
So here
like,
we are. Then it's like, oh, I could use a pair of glasses. Let's try this out.
So we priced it, and I think they were
Oh my gosh.
$550 instead of $1,200 in the States for Rich's glasses
You
without
know,
the frame, right?
Yes. And so, because I wear trifocals, in my contact lenses, I got in KL for a hell of a lot cheaper.
Right, and that was
then-
$550 US versus what we would pay for the same product at an
Yeah.
optometrist in the United States would cost, last time it cost Rich $1,200 plus the cost of the lenses.
So Mary's my age and she's been in business for 40 plus years. I mean, it's the place to go. I mean, they know what they're doing. And
So they also
we'll go
did, it was
back.
a 2-for-1. So he
Oh,
actually
yes.
got a second pair that included a bifocal component. It didn't have the long range, and they called those office glasses. I think, isn't that what
Yes.
they call them?
Yes.
So it's the short range and the mid range, but not the long range.
So I
For
just provided my old frame.
the same price.
And
So
it's
he
like,
got 2
oh, for the
one.
month of May, you get a free lens. It's like, oh my
We'll
gosh.
take it.
Yeah.
And of course, lots of opportunity to meet people along the way.
Look
And
how
it's-
tall I am in comparison.
Snap this picture. These folks were sharing
Children's cancer awareness. Yes.
and we just stopped to support them.
Yeah. That's
And
back at the mall.
Then, so this is
Interesting.
yeah, so I included this in here because we wanted to talk about all of the medical tourism that we're doing
in Malaysia.
in Malaysia. And this includes a Chinese technology, more or less a cutting edge quantum Chinese medicine, Chinese vibrational frequency. This is terahertz frequency healing center
Yeah,
that
it's interesting.
was at the bottom of our building. They were in one of the shops there. And I had done some sound healing, some
oh, right. In
gong,
KL.
gong healing type stuff in Kuala Lumpur that I found that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And this is a no-brainer. And so both of us did regular treatments here. This is terahertz
He
frequency
worked on my neck.
helping put everything's vibrating.
And it
And
does.
it's a cutting edge technology that we completely believe in because every cell in your body is a battery.
And the guy down in that business, he's like, Malaysian people don't get it. They just don't understand how they need to take better care of their health.
So we really
So-
are, all of the stuff that we talk around the edges of about massage and reflexology are all aspects of vibrational energetic healing.
This is why we're going to live 30 years.
Yeah.
longer.
So, this is not new. It's just, it's coming more and more and more. And we are big proponents
Yeah.
and consumers of it wherever we can
Yeah.
find it.
Like
And then
pizza.
immediately,
We
we
consume
immediately
pizza.
go and get a pizza.
Paul's like, is it time to go for pizza again?
But
I don't know.
we did have a wonderful experience in a local
Muzi Tea restaurant.
vegetarian restaurant. And these folks,
Muzi.
we ate here 3 times a week.
Not exaggerating.
And they took good care of us. And this is the chef, and this is her brother-in-law that I believe, we believe that it was her sister. He's married to her sister.
Yes.
And they run this place. And we got the best food there. So the Chinese style vegetarian, very kind of fusion nouvelle vegetarian, amazing.
Pepper chicken,
And
sweet and sour chicken, all tofu.
They were closed on Thursdays, and they knew that of those 6 days they were open, we were there 3 of them every week. And
Yeah.
just a few minutes walk from our apartment.
We feature them on Global Hotel Guides
we do-
on our Facebook.
Yeah, we did
page.
find some
So you can
Italian
see more
food.
pictures.
We did find some Italian food, and so we,
Oh yeah, this is good. This is
yeah.
Memories
Yeah.
Cafe. We had eaten there before. This is
Right.
probably our favorite pizza joint. Would you say
Michelangelo's, yeah, we had to take a car
And
there.
it says home of authentic American
wood-fired
wood
pizza.
fire
It was
pizza.
pretty- it was
We did
pretty
that
good.
twice, actually.
Now,
Oh,
last year we stayed
Debbie
at
and Sean.
when we stayed in Ipoh, we were only there a handful of days. And we were like, wow, we really like this place. We think we could come back and take an apartment and just chill out.
And this is Debbie and her husband, Chong. Debbie is like,
So-
as soon as you see Debbie, you fall in love with Debbie.
They ran the
She's
hotel that
awesome.
we stayed in last
Yeah.
year, the
Bedrock.
Bedrock Hotel. So we stopped in and said, they were in the neighborhood where our building was. So we stopped in and said hello a few times. They are opening, and they run a robust hotel, go-to hotel, Bedrock
They're
Hotel in Ipoh, just
full
stay there.
A lot
But
of
they're
time.
opening whoops, sorry, I'm gonna do this. I don't know what happened.
What happened to that part?
Let me reduce
That's
this.
interesting. So
I
anyway,
don't know what that
they had
is.
just purchased this building across the street, and she's
Yes.
like, "Oh, when you come back,
Let me see if
we'll
I
be
can-
ready to take you over and show you the property. This is the front. Look, the chandeliers they hung out front." These people know what they're doing and putting together this property.
So they have a connection with getting they buy stuff from the Macau in China, the Macau
Hotel chain.
casinos.
Yes, yes.
There's a casino there in Macau, China, that changes out all their stuff every 5 years. So they buy
In
bits
bulk.
and pieces to do their hotels with. And all the artwork you see is Chong, who's the guy there that I'm
He
talking
goes, I
to.
just copy things.
He
I
is
don't
the-
have talent. I
he's
just
the painter.
copy. Yes. So, I mean, the use of mirrors on the ceiling, on the wall. I mean, this is just the
I
lobby
mean, that's
area.
the hallway to get to the rooms. Again, this is their annex of 8 new rooms. And we just thought it was kind of
They're
fun to
waiting for the fire code people to come in and the
give them a
government there is
final,
slow.
but they're really close to opening.
But they, the rooms
Oh, wow.
so well
So
done.
we'll stay with them a few nights when we go back to
She's
Ipoh
like,
the
you
next
boys
day.
have to come stay with me. I'm going to give you 2 nights, but don't come during Chinese New Year. It's too crazy. So she and
They're-
her husband just really
Are-
have done a nice job
yeah.
on this.
So we got to look at the new hotel.
Like that little cabinet in the back. I mean, it was just like, that was the microwave and
Yeah.
all of the
So
accoutrements. in
here
it.
we are at,
In the bus.
yeah, so we took the bus from KL to Ipoh and back. I mean, we've done that before.
$11 for a bus ride.
There's also a train that we can
Yeah.
take, but it never seems to work with our schedule. So every time we've taken the bus, and that was our trip to Ipoh.
Yeah, and then, while Paul was in KL for 3 weeks, I needed really a cool weather Portland kind of chill down fix. And for the third time, I went on a bus up to Cameron Highlands. I love Cameron Highlands. It's the home of strawberries. And right now in Oregon, it's your strawberry season. And I miss going out to Sauvie Island and picking berries and, so I had my solo retreat and,
Yeah.
we're together a lot and we're great travelers. And I loved my own rhythm. I'm going to eat when I frickin' want to eat. I'm going to choose to, take my walk and do what I want to do. And so on that walk, my very first walk, Nancy, this was just like crazy insane. I had my sunglasses on. I was listening to my chill out music and feeling real zen and, getting into a new routine of every morning out walking for an hour. I see like, oh, I can either go on the road or I can walk down under some trees. And I see kind of a dark spot. And I thought it was just mud that had washed on the sidewalk. Oh no, it was a snotty, greasy surface.
Slimy,
And I took one
algae.
step and I swear to God, my phone flew out of my hand. It went sliding down the downhill, greasy sidewalk.
And 72-year-old Rich landed
On my ass. And I thought, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up. Within like, I don't know, 15, 30 seconds, I had 2 people. One car stopped, a guy on a scooter stopped, and I'm just laying there, they're asking me if I'm okay. And it's just like, they say, don't get up so fast and just kind of assess, don't be embarrassed. And I'm laying in this greasy, icky, slimy green stuff. My butt in my shorts is like completely absorbed in this crud. And they're asking for help. And the only thing I could think of is people wouldn't do this at home. They would just drive by me and look at me and like just
wave.
I know, even if that. And so
They just think you're stretching.
and then one man's like, your phone. And I then kind of got up, and fortunately the foot reflexology business in Cameron Highlands, we'd used them before. I'd made an 11 o'clock appointment. So I was like, oh, good. This guy is going to be able to put me back together. And so kind of embarrassed, I get up and the people are like, no, I'm realizing I'm alive and can move. And so
Right, and
I
one-
limped back and I walked into the hotel and they looked at me like, what happened? And it's just like, I fell down. And so
Fall down, go boom.
I know. And he really did help. He, did cupping on my back. My neck was a bit tweaked, but I was out walking every morning up in Cameron that week.
And that was Rich's third time. We've been there 2 times together, and that was Rich's third time there. So it's a cool down location
It
where
really is. And it was the reason why I needed new shoes, because my Brooks, I've like pounded the pavement like for hours and hours, and they're good for like 500 hours is what I've been reading now. It's like, oh, that's interesting. They measure the amount of time you can wear them.
we
But
must.
the bottom
Really?
of my shoe was just as slippery, flat, and snotty as
Yeah.
yeah. So
And
now I'm in New Brooks.
and he stayed in a simple two and a
Yeah.
half star probably
Yeah.
in on the main drag of Cameron. And we've stayed in a fancy Cameron Highlands resort place for about 150.
Yeah.
And last year we stayed at a place across the street from where he was that we didn't love enough to go
Yeah.
back.
In the
And
mall.
then he was paying only $32 a night for
Yeah.
his hotel room
I mean,
there.
that was
And it was
those
very
people were great.
adequate. It was very adequate
Yeah.
for 1 week, and then he could
Yeah.
walk nearby to the restaurants, and they knew him. I mean, they know him from last year.
Oh, yeah. And I got invited to the sister property up on the hill, and they said, oh, come up for scones, and we want to, serve you tea. And, I like the main town area just because I know all these people now of restaurants, and,
We can do things.
they remember me.
But it's
and-
kind of a retreat area as well. There's
Yeah.
like, you can spread out a little bit. If we ever went back with a car, there's they call a little Switzerland area that's nearby. So in the
Yeah.
mountains of
Oh, the
Malaysia,
tea
and this is
plantation.
basically due east of Ipoh, a 3.5 hours
Yeah.
bus ride from
Yeah.
Kuala Lumpur.
Winding
north.
road, but I mean, the tea plantations are kind of like Oregon's wine country, where you just love to get out and experience nature like that.
So let's pivot.
Oh, where are we? Have a
Oh, you
safe
know what?
journey.
I've got to,
KL Airport.
well, I have to pivot back to, are you still with me, Nancy?
She is, I see
Yeah.
her.
Not okay. I just
Yeah.
hope that my senior
So
shenanigans here. I don't want to close the
it's
wrong window.
been,
Okay, so then we took off from Kuala Lumpur and headed
oh,
for
there's the Bell bag.
Colombo, Sri Lanka, where we are right now. And we'll tell you just in the last few minutes that we have. Of course, Ayesh met us at the airport with
Every time
flowers.
now. He's the certified
With
tour guide.
flowers.
I mean, we're so spoiled. He's
We've
just
got
like
the
our
routine.
adopted son. I
We-
love this
We
kid.
go straight to our same
Restaurant.
bar near the hotel where we like to stay.
Yeah.
And but then before long, we only stayed one night at in town.
Yeah.
And
In Gumbo.
headed out because our goal was to do 12 nights at the oceanfront condos in Nillaveli where we were before last year, and just love
Yeah.
this place.
Oh, look
I mean,
at
what's not to
that.
like?
Yeah.
It's-
I mean,
Wow.
it's interesting, Nancy, because
This is outside our window right now.
sunrise is on the ocean, and back home at the Pacific Ocean, we always like, oh, we love the sunset at the coast.
So this is the time to
It's
come
backwards.
to the east coast of Sri Lanka. We're in the ocean, clean as can be,
Oh, it's the
3
best
times a
water.
day. I mean, it's got to be the only ocean that I
Ayash
don't
says
wanna get out of.
Nillaveli is the number 2. Further south of here, a couple 2.5 hours. is
Gentle-
first beach. that's
gentle
famous.
beaches with nearby restaurants
Yeah.
that we can go to. We went here for a place that we know run by a German lady and her Sri Lankan husband. They serve
Mexican food.
Mexican food. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of foo-foo Mexican
And of
food.
course, there we are.
Oh, his mother, Ayesha's mom, always invites us. She was quite bummed out that we weren't going to go to the house this time. She fed us twice on our last
But
visit.
she served cheese buttons, and unfortunately, we found them in
We're
the
now
store.
addicted to cheese buttons, and
So-
Paul's having his beer.
And
you
here's
know,
Rich on his morning walk
This
recently.
is a school that's been,
Yeah.
they do children, they call it a college, but small kids go there.
So that's it. That's what we got for you today, and we're gonna get cut
Wow.
off here in less than a minute.
That's our life.
But do you have any?
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Give you
Ah,
less than 40
ah,
seconds to ask a question. Shame.
Oh,
that is just,
So
no,
that's-
really. It's
That's
so
our life right now.
refreshing. It's so refreshing to see that the whole world isn't in chaos like we are here.
yeah.
And yeah, and it's wonderful to have you take us on these